All right, everybody, I'm Logan Alec. I'm a CPA. Today, the IRS gave us an update on the refunds for unemployment compensation, right? This is if you filed your tax return before the tax law changed to exclude the first $10,200 of 2020 unemployment compensation from taxable income. If you filed your tax return before the tax law changed or before your tax software updated for the tax law change, right, then you're entitled to a refund for the overpaid tax, if any, attributable to the $10,200 unemployment compensation exclusion. So it's been radio silent from the IRS on this topic for a while, right? They said that payments are going to start, in May, and some of you have received your refund for this, but others of you haven't. And the IRS has left a lot of you folks in the dark on this. So today the IRS did release an announcement about this. So headline is IRS readies nearly 4 million refunds for unemployment compensation overpayments. So let's get into it here. All right, July 13th, that is today. Happy Tuesday. So IRS said the IRS announced today it will issue another round of refunds this week to nearly 4 million taxpayers who overpaid their taxes and unemployment compensation received last year. That's a lot, folks. So, if you're still waiting for yours, I would say that there's a decent chance it'll come this week. Am I saying 100% sure? No, I'm not. But I'm saying that, I know at least some of you out there who are still waiting for your refund attributable to the unemployment compensation exclusion should see your payment go out this week. So as early as tomorrow, as a matter of fact, because they're saying direct deposit refunds will begin tomorrow, July 14th. Refunds by paper check will begin on July 16th. That is obviously Friday. This paragraph here is just talking about the law change that we've talked about several times in several videos here on the channel. They say the IRS previously issued refunds related to unemployment compensation exclusion in May and June, and it will continue to issue refunds throughout the summer, right? So this is telling me that they're not done, right? With this week's batch, they're not done. They still have to make more payments, but nevertheless, like I said, 4 million, that's a pretty big number, right? So that's obviously good news. They say to ease the burden on taxpayers, the IRS has been reviewing the Form 1040 and 1040 SR that were filed prior to the law's enactment. To identify those people who are due an adjustment for taxpayers who overpaid, the IRS will either refund the overpayment, apply it to other outstanding taxes, or other federal or state debts owed. So this is a question I received here on the channel. Hey, I owe back taxes. Will the IRS take my refund attributable to the overpayment? The answer is yes, right? Just like any refund, tax refund, right? If you owe back taxes, the IRS is going to take it in order to apply it toward your back taxes. By the way, if you owe back taxes, you know what to do. Email taxrelief@loganalec.com, or even if you just need to file your old tax returns. All right, so it says for this round, the IRS identified approximately 4.6 million taxpayers who may be due an adjustment. Of that number, approximately 4 million taxpayers are expected to receive a refund. Okay. This is interesting. So what is causing the $600,000 difference? Possibly because 600,000 of these taxpayers, the change in the unemployment compensation rule didn't actually change the amount of tax for them, right? That's quite conceivable, actually. So maybe that explains the difference there. The IRS didn't really elaborate. Or, right, also might be 600,000, among the $600,000 or among the 600,000 difference here between 4.6 and 4.0 are possibly people who, they owe back taxes, right? The IRS isn't going to issue them a refund. They're not owed a refund because they're going to apply it toward their back taxes. They say the average refund is $1,265, which means some will receive more and some will receive yet less. Yes, thank you, IRS. We know how averages work. Most taxpayers do not take any action. There's no need to call the IRS. However, if as a result of the excluded unemployment compensation, taxpayers are now eligible for deductions or credits not claimed on the original return, they should file an amended tax return. Okay, but not all deductions and credits. Okay, we got to go through this list here. We got to look at the fine print here, so to speak. So IRS is saying taxpayers should file an amended return if they did not submit a Schedule 8812 with the original return to claim the additional child tax credit and are now eligible for the credit after the unemployment compensation exclusion. So what is this, right? So this is basically the additional child tax credit for 2020. That is the refundable portion of the child tax credit, right? That's the $1,400 piece. So now for 2021 tax year, the entire child tax credit is refundable. Back in 2020, old tax law, the additional child tax credit was the refundable piece, and it wasn't the full $2,000, right? It's only refundable up to $1,400. Okay. So if you are now, as a result of the unemployment compensation exclusion, eligible for the additional child tax credit, okay, and you were not before when you included the $10,200 in your income, okay, IRS is saying you should file an amended return, okay. Now, if you just, let's say you just took the child tax credit, right, not the refundable portion, but just the child tax credit, then no, this only has to do with the additional child tax credit, which is the refundable portion, okay, not the non-refundable portion. Taxpayers should file an amended return if they did not submit a Schedule EIC with the original return to claim the earned income tax credit with qualifying dependents and are now eligible for the credit after the unemployment compensation exclusion. Okay, so if on your original tax return, due to including the $10,200, right, in your income, if that puts you over the income limits for the earned income tax credit, right, the maximum allowable AGI in order for you to claim the earned income tax credit, based on your filing status number dependents. But now, right, without the $10,200, you are eligible for the earned income tax credit, and you were not before, but you are now, right, after the tax law change, and you have dependents. Then the IRS is saying you should file an amended return. Okay. However, as we'll read later on down here, if that's the case, but you don't have dependents, right, then you don't have to file an amended return. Okay. So taxpayers should file an amended return if they are now eligible for any credits and or deductions not mentioned below. Make sure to include any required forms or schedules. Okay, so they're basically saying, when this first came out, the IRS said, look, if you are now eligible for any credits or deductions that you were not eligible before when you're on your originally filed return, you need to amend your return, right? But in recent kind of weeks and months here, they've kind of taken that back and said, oh, no. Certain credits and deductions, right, it's okay. We can figure that out ourselves, right, even if you're newly eligible for them as a result of the tax law change. But others, right, you still have to file an amended return, okay? So I'll get to the list here. Under this section here that says taxpayers do not need to file an amended return if they already filed a tax return and did not claim the unemployment exclusion. The IRS will determine the correct taxable amount of unemployment compensation and tax. So already filed a tax return and did not claim. Okay, well that's confusing, right? Because obviously that applies to basically everybody who's wondering about this. But obviously, still, some people do need to file an amended return. IRS is it's terrible at phrasing things in these announcements. I don't know who writes them. Well, they're IRS employees, so that's all you need to know, I guess. This is basically, you can just ignore this bullet point, right? Because the IRS, they're basically, if you just took this for what it says, that basically means that nobody needs to amend their return, right? But clearly some people do. Anyway, so we can just ignore this bullet point here. All right, so taxpayers do not need to file an amended return if they have an adjustment because of the exclusion that will result in an increase in any non-refundable or refundable credits reported on the original return, right? So this is saying, look, if you already claimed a credit on your originally filed return, but this $10,200 exclusion simply increases the amount you're eligible for that credit, then you don't have to file an amended return, right? It gets a little confusing with the child tax credit, right? Because there's a portion of child tax credits that's non-refundable and a portion that's refundable, right? And if you're getting a refundable child tax credit for 2020 anyway, you have to submit the separate form, Schedule 8812, right, to claim the additional child tax credit, right? So I think that's why they highlight that one up there. All right, taxpayers do not need to file an amended return if they did not claim the following credits on their tax return but are now eligible when the unemployment exclusion is applied, okay? So if you were previously if you were previously ineligible for the recovery rebate credit, but now you are, right, after the tax law change for the unemployment, and that's the only thing that changed on your return, you don't need to file an amended return, okay? Now, if you if you have no dependents and you were not previously eligible for the earned income tax credit, right? But now you are, thanks to the unemployment adjustment, tax law change. If that's the change on your return, you don't have to file an amended return. If that's the case for you and you have dependents, right, qualifying dependents for EIC purposes, then yeah, you gotta file an amended return, right, according to the IRS guidance that they just issued today. Okay, now if advanced premium tax credit, right? If you were not eligible for the advanced premium tax credit on your originally filed return, but now you are, right? Because now your income's lower due to the $10,200 adjustment tax law change. If that's the change on your return, you don't have to file an amended return for that. Okay. So it says for all these circumstances here, the IRS will calculate the credit and include it in any overpayment, right? But these are the only ones here, right? These three specific ones: recovery rebate credit, earned income credit with no qualifying dependents, and the advanced premium tax credit. Those are the only, right, tax benefits whereby if you were not eligible for it, right, on your originally filed return, but now you are after the tax law change, you don't have to file an amended return, right? For any other credit or deduction, right, that you were not eligible for on your originally filed return, but now you are eligible for it, thanks to the tax law change, except for those three down there, you have to file an amended return, right? Taxpayers should file an amended return if they are now eligible for any other credits and or deductions not mentioned below. Make sure to include any required forms or schedules. Okay. Last one here, last bullet point. Taxpayers do not need to file an amended return if they filed a married filing joint return, live in a community property state, and entered a smaller exclusion amount than entitled on Schedule 1, line 8. Okay. All right. That has nothing to do with credits or deductions. So that they kind of just fall into, this bucket here, right? This says taxpayers will generally receive letters from the IRS within 30 days of the adjustment, informing them of what kind of adjustment was made, such as a refund, payment of IRS debt, payment or payment offset of other authorized debts, and the amount of the adjustment. All right, folks, that's what I have for you today about the $10,200 unemployment exclusion. Hope that answered some questions for you all. We got some more information, obviously, on who needs to file amended returns and all that. But yeah, folks, I hope you all get your payments, your refunds quickly, and the IRS really gets in gear here for you. Have a great evening, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.